Next is from Wayne Grolfine. Subject is Bischoff versus Hangman. Last week on Strictly Business, Eric Bischoff made some predictions for the rest of the 2023 wrestling year. He said that by December 31st, 2023, he thinks at least one of this group will no longer be under contract to AEW. CM Punk, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and the Young Bucks. When asked by his AEW shill co-host John Alba if he thinks they'll make the jump to WWE, Bischoff said he would be stunned to hear if Hangman Page is even on their radar. He pretty much buried him on everything such as his look, his matches, his promos, etc. Conan, Disco, and Joe, what do you think about Bischoff's comments? Do you think it's possible that WWE would ever want to sign Hangman Page? Do they need him? What would he add? And why is Bill Body such a mark? I want you to answer this first. I want to answer this last.
Go ahead, Hangman Joe. Page. I'll let him answer first.
Go ahead, Joe. Hangman Page.
I think WWE would sign Hangman Page, and I think Eric, though he may not believe in him, enjoy him, think he's any good, whatever. I think he's a great athlete. He's always, from what I've seen, gotten crowd reactions. He's a talented guy. You might not like the butterfly genes and all that, but he is a talented guy. I think WWE would sign him. Yeah, obviously he's not small either. I could see him there.
All right, what about you, Conan?
What was the question?
It was, do you think it's possible? Yeah.
WWE would ever want to sign Hangman's Page. What do you think about Eric's comments? And do you think they'll ever sign Page? Do they need him, and what would he add?
But he had said he was in some group of other guys, right? Like Omega.
Well, Bischoff said that in his opinion.
Oh, okay.
He thinks one of these four guys, one of these four, Bucks, Hangman, Omega, Punk, won't be with WCW at the end of the year. At the beginning of the next year.
I feel a lot like Joe. I mean, the butterfly jeans wasn't happening, and the other he was wearing, I don't know, some other stuff that I was like, what's going, flowers or something? I don't know, no cowboys that dress like that. But the guy is over. He does wrestle good. He is very athletic. And he can cut a promo. I think they could do something with him. I'm not saying he's a top guy, but I think they could do something with him.
They could. Okay, but here's my criticisms of him and the things that the good and the bad. All right.
Right.
The good is he looks pretty good. Like he's got a good build. Looks like a professional wrestler. Got the hair. His work is decent. Okay, I think he still does too much of the. Actually, he doesn't do a lot of the. I don't know. I don't really. His matches don't stick out to me as like something that like I'm out of my way to see. Right. His vignettes in the back, his backstage vignettes stink. His in-ring promos, when he's featured and talking something, have been very good. Very weird that there's a kind of like a market. There's a difference in the two, and maybe it's because the guys he's interacting with aren't very good actors. They had him stuck in doing the thing with the Dark Order forever, right? And then let's not forget we're a couple years away from when he was doing the drunk, which is kind of a silly gimmick. He was walking around with a drink everywhere, which was just corny, right?
Oh, look, I drink.
Right. Think about that, right? Everybody forgot about that. And then he kind of he got away from that and then turned into like the metrosexual cowboy guy with like flowers on the jeans and like silly stuff it just didn't. I don't know. It was
the last time I saw him in AEW, he actually told me, "Tell Disco I can't quit him." I'm not sure what that meant, but he did send that message. Yes.
But I think he's just. I think that maybe coming out of the thing with the drinking character, where he had a legit gimmick where he could play it like, "Hey, I'm a drunk." They would do all the vignettes. He'd be in the bar. Remember they did the stadium brawl thing, and they did a spot where they stopped. It was like, bro, that was kind of entertaining. I think when he got away from that, it's like, okay, now I got to kind of be a babyface. I'm kind of like, I think he's kind of, in his mind, he's kind of in a gray area.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know, maybe because a lot of those guys in the dressing room are friends from when they were in the Indies. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's friends with the Dark Order. If Tony said, "Hey, go in there and give him a rub," but he somehow survived that because that did him no favors.
Yeah.
Remember when they used to.
He's Hangman Adam Page, and he's their cowboy character. right?
Right.
You know, when I'm and his gimmick literally like if he could have done Doc Holliday
Right.
when he was doing the drinking thing, and stuff with the
Right.
southern drawl and kind of talk like talk
I'm
slow
in my
and
prom.
but now he's just like a guy that's going out there dressed up as a cowboy. He's
Right.
not a cowboy. And like
Right.
when he wears the cowboy clothes, he's wearing like cowboy clothes and flowers. I was like, it's like, dude, do you like? Haven't you seen like a lot of like what cowboys wear? They're kind of like more rugged than that. Like he's
Yeah,
kind of
just-
like a model like a 2023 inclusive cowboy character for
Right.
all it's just not just like bro, just be Adam Page if you're gonna be
No, well,
if you're not gonna do a cowboy character.
Try to take inspiration from the characters on Yellowstone. They're all 2023 cowboy types. But
Exactly.
they're throwbacks.
Right,
They're rough.
Look right. They're kind of rugged.
Right.
It's like there's nothing rugged.
And they still
about
have
the
a
guy.
cool look to them too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's kind of he doesn't embrace that, which is
Right.
why it's kind of like maybe okay, just get rid of the Hangman Cowboy gimmick. Just be Adam Page, but Adam Page is boring.
Now let me ask you a question.
My advice. Go ahead. What was I gonna say? My advice to this guy would be like, bro, kind of go back and let's embrace like an old school cowboy, and try to do that. Like rugged. You're older,
Yeah, or even a new school like they
Right.
said on Yellowstone. Those are
Right.
the young
Well, I
characters
consider
come
that
off
old
well.
Watch
Cowboys
Yellowstone
are-
and then
right.
take inspiration from the character Rip.
right.
He's like
Yeah.
he's like the second to Costner. He's the tough guy. He's no nonsense. All that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's popular. It's a popular
Now-
show. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. You had said that you like his hair, right?
I guess, yeah.
All right. So if he were to go into the Shake Shack and say, "Look, hey, just give me a shampoo. I'll take the free with the barbecue dipping sauce." Would that be cool or no?
Edit that out, Joe. Next is from Jared Smith. The subject. Oh, here we go. Subject is LAX.
That's
Hey guys,
tremendous.
hope all is well. Got a question for K Dog. In the early run of LAX, Homicide was paired first with Apollo and later Machete. Before I have two questions in a row. First question is who, and the second question is who. Before eventually joining with Hernandez, who I know. My question is why was Apollo and Machete replaced very quickly? Also, what did you think after you left when LAX turned face and was joined with Hector Guerrero and Salinas? Thanks as always. Interesting questions. Who was Apollo and Machete?
Apollo was a Puerto Rican.
Pull that up, Joe. I have no clue who these people are. Pull up the picture. I want to get a reference point here. Go ahead, Conan.
So basically what happened was I originally wanted to bring in Homicide, okay? And I was told that he was too short. And I was like, well,
really?
And I was like, even though I like this guy, I said, well, Petey Williams ain't exactly a tall.
Bro, this is an Impact. They're complaining about guys being too short.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was like the X Division. It's like half the roster was short. It's like, right? Yeah.
You know who was in the room when that happened?
Who?
Hopefully a future guest, Tuggles the Clown. So this kid right here, Apollo, when I first met him, I couldn't believe he looked like a monster. He's like 6'3", good looking guy. And I was like, bro, this gonna make a lot of money in the WWE one day. And so I wanted to bring in Homicide and Dutch, who had worked in Puerto Rico with him as a booker in the IWA. He was like, let's bring Apollo in, and I was like, bro, Apollo has a lot of demons. He goes, well, who would you rather have, this guy or this guy? Well, this guy without the demons. And so the first day he was supposed to come in, he never showed up.
Who, Hernandez or Apollo?
Apollo.
He never, he got booked and he didn't show?
Right.
And that's the guy you said had the demons?
Yes. And I was like, you see what I go, you see, and bro, the guy looks the guy looks like $1 million and he can go.
Right.
But he was in that phase in his life. Right. So he didn't show up. So I was able to get Homicide in. And they immediately saw the chemistry between me and Homicide. And they were like, well, why don't you bring Hernandez in? And I go, because he's not really a street guy, like Homicide is. And I don't know what happened, but might have been Jeff that said, bring him in, just, let's see how he does. And he came in and he just looked the part, and then he started getting tattoos, and he started to look more the part, and it just mixed.
Yeah, interesting. All right, next is on this. Where's Machete, by the way, Joe?
Up on the screen.
Which one's Machete?
He's the guy with the red
Here in the corner, yeah.
Oh, that's him
bandana.
right here.
Ricky
Right,
Vega.
so-
Joe, click. Well, no, do me a favor, Joe. Full screen, I want to see Machete, and full screen, I want to see Apollo.
That's as big as it goes.
Well, you can't click that. You can't click that on.
No, that's it. See?
Oh, all right, okay.
So let me tell you the story with the Machete.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, at every taping, Impact, WWE, AEW, there's always a bunch of people looking for work, right? They just
Right.
hang around looking for work. He lived in Orlando, and I used to have a thing called the LAX Nation, where the only way you could be in that group is you had to be Latino. So I had gotten hip surgery, and they would wheel me out, and if I needed help, they'd come out and help me. And he was one of the guys. So I said, until we get Hernandez, we'll use this guy. And that's basically what he was only in a little bit.
Interesting. Next is from David Bentz, and the subject is wrestling gimmicks in WWE. Dear K100 crew, I wanted your opinion how WWE doubles down the gimmick matches for both men and women in one night. Do you think doing two of the same match on the same card at time devalues the match in itself? Should the Royal Rumble become a two-night event, the crowd cheering a 1 hour match to start a show, then has to go through all that again to end a show currently? Should Money in the Bank no longer be a pay-per-view, but instead have two separate Money in the Bank matches divided throughout the year? Maybe one for the men at Mania and one for the women at SummerSlam. I feel the only gimmick match pay-per-view done right is Elimination Chambers. It's normally the last chance match for people to get a title or title match before Mania. Thanks for taking my question. What you say has merit, okay? However, Money in the Bank is an excellent standalone pay-per-view still. Joe, look that up, Joe. I think WWE broke their arena record for the in the arena for the O2 Arena for Money in the Bank. Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah, they did. Yeah. So
it's
the guy's trying to say is it a good idea? Well, it works. You broke the arena.
I think it was their most profitable live premiere event ever. I think something. Yeah. What was it, Joe?
But most profitable live arena event. Obviously the stadium shows do bigger, but for an arena, bro.
18,877. It says.
Bro, you can't. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. WWE right now is not broke. There's really nothing to fix. Keep going until things look like they're starting to break, and then fix it. But every pay-per-view, there's not an empty seat in the arena. The production quality is off the chain, and the crowd is off the hook. It's like
their booking is good. Their matches are good. Their graphics are good. Everything they do everything top flight. Yeah,
they're a $9 billion company, and they're showing why they are. They're just nailing it. And it is interesting too because 4 or 5 years ago,
they were brutal.
We would be ripping every show creative. It's just it was terrible. And here they are, 4 years later. The production, and they got so good they sold the company for $9 billion. It's like they adjust. Bro, that's the one thing that Tony Khan, has he has not been able to navigate his way through adversity yet. Vince McMahon has a 25 to 30 year history of navigating his way through adversities. Just Vince learned a lot from getting his ass kicked by WCW. And see it now, it's whenever AEW, remember when AEW got close to them, the ratings about a year and a half, 2 years ago almost? They were I think they were doing 1.2 million. Raw was doing 1.5,
1.9,
and they got close, and then it was and now they widened the gap again because Vince just knows he has a history of how to deal with adversity in the competition of professional wrestling. And I think Tony
not only competition, DI, but he also had to figure out how to reinvent things after the steroid trial, after the Benoit thing, after Hogan left. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that's what
Austin left at the same time too.
I know they're at odds, but Tony Khan could really use an Eric Bischoff right now. a guy with a history of knowing how to deal with adversity in the business is like, and like how to turn things around. So it's like, I don't know. There's nobody, like, he's doing this on his own. And all he's leaning on dirt sheet guys and stuff to try to help him navigate his way through this. It's like, bro, look at the history of professional wrestling. There's some guys that you could get that could help you and tell you what you need to do, which you're not doing right now. So we'll see. Because it's weird. Because, like, I said that, like, we said on this show that, your fan base on weekly television are just not really going to care about Forbidden, like the Japanese wrestling guys. Like, you're not really presenting them as major, you're trying to present them as major characters, but there's no, like, episodic storytelling with them. We're just introducing them, and we're letting them cut sound bites with subtitles, and, they're doing run-ins and attacking guys, like, but there's not, like, a lot of interest except for a portion of the fan base that is into that. And the metric is like, because like their television ratings kind of like have stagnated even with the Japanese guys. They haven't gone up. They haven't, like, coming out of the pay-per-view, the number wasn't good and everything. But the show sold out and did, like, one of the big, like Coda, wasn't, like, one of the biggest houses in, like, Canada history or something like that. Like, didn't they break a record or something to Toronto? Well, Joe, look that up.
Who's that? Forbidden Door?
I think the Forbidden Door house, like, did like a monster number. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the third biggest in Canadian history.
Right,
but it was AEW's biggest gate.
Right. I think the problem, and this is where we talk about like Vince has kind of like the experience than Tony does. I think Tony is willing to pat himself on the back looking at that metric and kind of like not worrying about how, like, dude, your weekly TV ratings still are not, they're stagnating. They're not that good. It's like, don't take your eye off the ball here. Your issue is your weekly television ratings aren't good. I know you did a good number for Forbidden Door. Your weekly numbers leading up and coming out of it weren't that good, but that wasn't, you did well on that show. So it's like you need to kind of refocus and, like, okay, what do we need to do to turn things, to get more people watching our show? And it's like, you don't want to, like, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of the decisions they make are run they just don't know how to get new fans. Period. And they look at things like the Forbidden Door. It's like, those aren't new fans. Those are hardcore fans, and all the hardcore fans are invested in that. Like, you found things that your fan base can even become more passionate about, but it's still just your fan base, nothing outside. And that's, I think, the problem that they face, and I think Tony needs to, like, quit drinking the Kool-Aid when he sees a positive metric like that and realize that, dude, there's literally no reason, if you look at the talent between the two rosters, that AEW has tons of talented guys, like a lot, and you don't need a lot of talented guys to do good weekly television. Like, look at WWE, like, most of their guys are good, but bro, there's like about maybe 12 to 15 guys that are, like, driving the weekly ratings on the show. Nobody's really, when the Viking Raiders are coming out on TV, nobody's really invested in that. They're on TV a lot and stuff. But the guys that you're invested in, I think what Tony needs to do is, like, look, what's our core group of guys here? We need to go, like, a good 3-month period of, like, 12 straight shows, and this is our crew. Like, all these other guys, like, sorry guys, you're not going to be on Dynamite this week, and just keep investing in the guys that are proven to be over and have drawn numbers. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, you're always going to need a Vikings Raiders because you need a supporting cast. Everybody
Right.
can't be the star. So,
Right.
I mean, it ain't like when they come out, people are bored because they bring it, and really they do a lot more, a lot of it crazy, but they do a lot. They'd probably get more over if they let them loose a little bit. But, they're probably getting paid well. They're happy. They're employed, and, they are being used.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about AEW. It's like, like you could put the Viking Raiders on TV, but we wouldn't miss them if they're not on TV, okay?
Right.
There's a lot of guys that they put on TV weekly on AEW, and then if they weren't on, we wouldn't miss them. Now they're on, and, like, okay, big deal. you're keeping guys off the show that we do miss. You know what I'm saying? That's I think what their problem is. It's like you're putting the Butcher and the Blade, in matches and stuff like randomly when you could have like you could do FTR versus the Elite tomorrow. You could do it. It's like, but I don't know what you're saving. I don't get it. I don't know. Next is wait a minute. Did I get the right? Did I read this one? Okay, no, I just read that.
Uso.
Okay, all right. Next one's okay. This is interesting. Jey Uso from Lion McCarthy. Hey guys, I know Jey Uso had a few main events and now he's pinned Roman, but could you see him say challenging at SummerSlam and beating Roman and being a true main eventer? For me, it's challenging if he was outside of Roman's storyline. He wouldn't get close to the same reactions, but would love to know your opinions. Bro, Jey Uso is an excellent performer. I mean, he when he was doing when they started the Roman angle with him during the like his you can just tell the guy's a really good actor.
Mm-hmm.
That whole group they're all good actors,
And if that story didn't have such a great beginning, would it be so highly regarded? Would it have continued on that track? Like Jey helped start it all.
Yeah, what do you think, Conan?
Well, if you're gonna have to give the rub to somebody sooner or later, might as well give it to him. He's the most natural opponent you have. If you weren't gonna do it with Zayn, you might as well do it with him. And somebody should get the rub.
This is interesting. I'm reading the first sentence here, this next one, and I'm intrigued by this. Roy Lucier. The subject is Wally the Wall. Good morning, K100 crew. I'm rewatching Conan's match from Cal State, Los Angeles on July 4th, 1992. And Conan's opponent is El Cobarde, the coward in English. And he's a huge muscle guy in his corner for the match. I reached out to Billy Anderson, the trainer of Sting, Ultimate Warrior, and Louis Piccoli, who knows 99% of the crew from the SoCal area, and asked him for info on the muscle guy who resembles an even bigger Tony Halm Ludwig Borga. Apparently this guy's name is Marcus Mueller, who used the name Wally the Wall here. He was, and not shockingly, the guy in the area who could get you any type of medication you want and was trying to break into the business. An even more crazy stat on this dude was less than 3 years later, he was murdered by mass murderer David Bieber in Fort Myers, Florida. My question is for Conan. What at all do you remember about this guy? He was beyond massive, and also do you remember why James Inoue was your second in this match? And also, why didn't AAA run its Cal State Los Angeles again after this? Thanks again, everyone, for the amazing content. This is a very interesting question to take a deep dive into. Conan, do you remember this guy?
Yep. He was a German guy, very nice. He was trying to break into the business.
When the guy said he could get you any type of medication you want, what does that mean?
Yeah, we didn't talk about steroids, but
well, he could pill, but Somas too, probably, right?
Yeah, right. But yeah, and those time I wasn't taking pills.
All right.
And I was getting my in Mexico anyways, so I really didn't need him for a hookup. I'm pretty sure he was in the other corner to take a bump for me or something. That's what I'm thinking. And I did read that story. Somebody sent it to me, and it was really weird. I don't remember the whole thing, but basically, this guy was selling steroids, and he had like a partner that was a bodybuilder that was also selling steroids. What was his name? I think he said his name in the letter.
El Cobarde?
No, that's the wrestler.
Billy Anderson?
No, that's the trainer.
Marcus.
That's the wrestler.
David Bieber.
David Bieber.
Yes.
Oh, he's killed by David Bieber. He was killed by David Bieber.
Right.
Yeah.
So that David Bieber guy, whatever, him, they were both bodybuilders and they were selling steroids. And then they ended up like hooking up with the same chick. And the chick ended up cheating on this guy, the Mueller guy, and getting married with that Bieber guy. Mm-hmm. But she was still around with the German guy. Okay. And he found out about it and he got some idiot, some 17-year-old kid, and to shoot him. And I think he was like a person of interest. And then he ran off to England and he got stopped in England and 3 cops stopped him and he shot all 3 of them. And then they found him like a week later. Like, it's a real crazy story, you know.
Who's James Inoue?
James Inoue is the one of the
Yeah, he is, but
Look
which
it up.
one is he? I can't
it up
find
here.
it. I can't find it. That's why I'm asking. Like the name's not coming up, you know. Who was your bodyguard in that match or manager or whatever, Conan? Do you know? He says James Anoa'i, and I can't figure out who that is.
I don't know.
It might have been I think at that time, Rikishi's brother was wrestling with us, Tonga Kid.
Oh, okay.
So he might have brought somebody with him that day. I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.